Let's talk about what racism is really quickly because some people don't seem to understand it. Racism is just hatred. It's basically saying that person is terrible because they're white. That person is terrible because they're black. It's bringing hate into things because of skin color. Instead of judging the character of the person and their actions, it's judging them and stereotyping them on their color. Is it racist to say white men can't jump, white men can't dance? Is it racist to say black people are quicker runners on the whole, or white people are better swimmers than black people on the whole? I don't think it is. I think it's an observation. I don't think there's any hatred in that. It's not always true. But once you start treating someone differently with hatred because of their skin color, racism is hate. Would it matter if you knew I was a quarter black? What if I am? What if I'm not? Why does that change in your mind the truth or my right to say anything that I've just said? Again, it exists in your mind. It's a nonsense. Reach beyond it. It's simple as that. I don't think it's racist that black people can play white characters. White actors can play black characters. I don't think that's racism at all. I think when you start to bring race into things where it shouldn't exist, I think that is racism. Give the job of an actor to the voice actor, for example, to the best person that can do the voice, irrespective of their color. If there is a lack of white people in a business and you need to recruit more white people, then if everything else is equal, take the white person. Otherwise, you take the person based on their abilities. Simple as that. So racism works always, white, black, brown, and everything in between. And it is discrimination and hate based on race. That is it. Now, I didn't ask to be white, believe it or not. And I stand up against imperialism, and I stand up against all the things that my ancestors have done in the past to other countries. But I didn't ask to be white. None of you asked to be any of your races. Absolutely none of you. None of you asked to be black. None of you asked to be brown. Nobody asked to be any color whatsoever. That's the first thing that you have to understand. Second thing that you should understand is the trauma of slavery, of all sorts of slavery, still lives on today. Slavery hasn't ended. Slavery still exists in many ways. We're all economically enslaved for a start. But slavery still exists. The trauma that was passed down through generations of those people that were enslaved still exists in those generations today. And it's for everybody to heal. White people were enslaved in England. If you know a lot of white English people, they are absolutely cut off from their emotions because that's how we were brought up. We were brought up to think of status, of money and power, and that's how you run an empire. So white people were enslaved as well. That's one of the reasons I just was having a discussion with somebody. When I've met Ugandans and Africans in general, they have an incredible spirit. And on the whole, they're far happier than the white people in England that I meet. Is that racist of me to say that? No, it's a generalization, but that's not racist. I judge each person on their actions and their behavior. It doesn't mean that I'm blind. It doesn't mean that I have to ignore what I see. I do see an emotional and spiritual problem in England, especially amongst white people. Does it matter that I'm white or black saying that? Why should it? Why shouldn't I be able to say the same thing about black people? You don't need to bring race into it. It's got nothing to do with it. I'll give you another example, stand-up comics. If I was a white, straight, male stand-up comic, I can say nothing without anybody being offended. That's complete racism. There are different standards for white people because subconsciously white people are judged to be in some way superior. So they could not make jokes about women. They could not make jokes about black people. They could not make jokes about Chinese. But if, for example, you put a black, lesbian, disabled woman as a stand-up comedian, she could make jokes about everybody because there's this subconscious bias to think, well, she can make fun about white men, able-bodied people, straight people. See, so that's all nonsense. It's all discrimination. It's all bringing things into the mix because of the mind, the energy of the mind, that simply don't need to exist. Judge people on their heart, on their actions and their behavior. Forget the color, Forget if they're able-bodied, forget their race, forget their religion, forget their gender, forget their sexuality. It's got nothing to do with it. That is all discrimination, absolute discrimination, because you are changing how you treat someone based on their gender, based on their religion, based on their race, based on their skin color. You are saying they can and can't say this because of those differences. That, my friends, is racism, and it's nonsense of the mind. When you go to the heart and you go to the spirit, you'll properly connect with all 8 billion people, and you'll connect to God and all of them. So you can smash past all of this nonsense, all of this discrimination that goes on. I have been on the end of plenty of racism as a white person, especially in Mexico, where I've been abused in soccer games, kicked, punched in the genitals, punched in the face because I'm white. Because sometimes there are some Mexicans that dislike white people. They think I'm white American, even though I'm English. I've been charged more money to go into, or attempted to be charged more money for drinks or entry into bars, into clubs, because I'm white. So I've been on the end of that sort of discrimination as well. That is racism. That is somebody picking and saying, that person's white, I'll treat them differently. What everybody has to do is start to see past this nonsense of the mind, and you treat people like a human being. Not a white person, not a black person, not a Chinese person, not a Muslim person, not a Christian person, not a Buddhist person. You treat them as a member of humanity, which is what they are, and deserving of basic respect, basic dignity, and love. That is where we have to get to as a human race, that we have to unify beyond all of this energy of the mind. The mind simply divides. It is infinite, and it has a million reasons to hate, to dislike, to get angry. See past the material veil. Go to something deeper within your heart, within your spirit. Listen to someone who knows what they're talking about. Don't be distracted. Don't be deluded. Don't be divided. The media wants white and black to fight. The media wants rich and poor to fight. The media wants Muslims and Christians to fight. The media wants America to fight against Mexico, America to fight against Russia, Ukraine to fight against Russia, Europe to fight against Russia, America to fight against China. That's the media. Humanity doesn't want that. People don't want that. The very, very, very emotionally cut off, smart people that control the media and the world, smart in a limited sense, smart in the mind, are programming you all to hate and divide. And don't fall for it. It's a lie. It's manipulation. It's about trying to point other people, races, religions, etc. out as negative. And I'm telling you that those people that do that, the last thing they want you to notice is them and what they're doing. Love you all. God bless you.